For decades, humans have been trying to not only find other planets for us to destroy, but also intelligent life for us to colonize. And we've tried everything. We've sent out deep space probes, we sent out radio waves. In the 50s, we sent like a bunch of dogs and monkeys for some reason. But now, after decades of no luck, NASA has decided to take things up a notch.
NASA scientists plan to send pictures of naked humans into space, hoping to catch the attention of aliens. Nudes will come with an invitation to respond. Pictures aren't graphic, just a drawing of a naked man and a woman next to a picture of DNA. NASA revealed this as part of a project called Beacon in the Galaxy to send a message to any alien civilizations.
Okay. First things first, they've got to hire more women over at NASA because only dudes would think the best way to introduce yourself is with unsolicited nudes. Hey, aliens, you up there? What are we doing? Those aliens are going to be really upset that they turned on their airdrop for everyone in the galaxy. But also, if you are going to send nudes, why would you send these nudes? Let me tell you something, man. If I was an alien, no way in hell I'm coming to this planet. Like, if someone sent me these nudes and they said, hey, you up? I'd be like, I am so far from up. I'm in a coma. I will never be up again. I mean, look at this thing. Feels like you sexting with an Atari. What is that, huh? The woman doesn't even have a nose. Look at that shit. Think about what we're saying. Either this planet has zero technology because this is how they draw themselves, or this is how they actually look. Either way, I'm not coming. That's a terrible thing to say. Like, maybe if I was like a 13-year-old alien, I could make that work. Yeah, you know what I mean? But how are these the news that we're sending to aliens? If we want aliens to get interested, don't send them an Etch-a-Sketch drawing. Send them coupons for OnlyFans. Come on, man. Get them in the game. And honestly, even if the aliens are interested, I think we've got to be careful. This is sending the wrong idea about us into the galaxy. Just imagine for a second, the very first thing we send to aliens is naked photos? What, are we only trying to make contact with the horniest aliens in the universe? Yeah, no wonder every time they abduct someone, they probe their butts. We're sending out the wrong vibe. You understand how scary this is? You know what's going to happen here, right? The aliens are going to get here, and they're just going to expect to smash immediately. Yeah. And then they're going to be disappointed. Yeah, imagine if someone you've never even met before texted you nudes, and then you go there, and they're like, cool, now that you're here, I wanted to introduce you to Joe Biden. That is the worst catfishing ever. They'll blow up our planet just for that. Come you all horny, and they'll be like, take us to your leader. We're here to smash. Now we're in trouble. Yeah, the only way that would work out is if the aliens come and Trump is president. Yeah. No, because if there's one thing I'll tell you about Trump, he'd shit out of those aliens. He'd be like, I don't know what they have down there, but I'm grabbing it. Come here, aliens. We actually should hope that this only reaches the horny aliens. Because you realize how offensive this is going to be if it just ends up in front of a normal alien. They are going to be so pissed off. Sheila! Those Earth perverts left pornography on the lawn! Yes, I'm sure it's not my pornography! You know I wouldn't be yanking my floor flex to a drawing of two hairless monkeys! Yeah, I mean, one doesn't even have a nose, Sheila! Come on, you know what I'm into, and it's not this crap! Plus, I don't need pornography. I only need you. You know I love you, baby. I love you, Sheila.
This morning, the International Space Station in political crosshairs as Russia retaliates against American sanctions. The head of the Russian Space Agency, Dmitry Rogozin, posting this video on social media threatening to abandon American astronaut Mark Vande Hei at the station. He's supposed to return home on a Russian ship in just 3 weeks. Rogozin also making an ominous threat that without Russian help to move the ISS away from space junk, the ISS would crash into America or other countries.
Wow, this is wild. Russia is so mad about sanctions that it's threatening to abandon an American astronaut in space and allow the International Space Station to crash into Earth. And I mean, this is obviously a horrible threat to make, but I will admit this, I do kind of see Russia's side. I do. I'm not for Russia, but I see it. I mean, flying someone home from space is a huge favor to do, especially for an enemy. You know, it's like picking them up from the airport 1,000,000 times over. And also, why didn't America get this astronaut down before this war escalated? Huh? They knew he was hitching a ride on a Russian thing. This is like when you quit a job and then you storm out of the office cursing at everyone. Yeah, suck my d. And then you realize you left your phone behind. Oh, man. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, sir. I didn't realize it was still charging. Yeah, but text me about sucking my d. You know, people, this is exactly why America needs to start some sorts of military force to defend space. Think about it, right? What they could do is have it up there defending all of space on America's behalf. What? What's that? Oh, it did? And I called it the military's version of University of Phoenix? Huh, that's funny, but that doesn't sound like something I would say. Yeah, no, that's not me. For decades now, humans have been obsessed with trying to get to Mars. Why? Well, we just want to see what it's like, you know? It's not like there's anything wrong with Earth. We just want to see what's going on out there, you know? Yeah, it's the same way your dad is currently looking for apartments. The marriage is fine. He just needs a place to hang, you know? The important thing is that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. Anyway, the point is, humans are desperate to find out everything we can about Mars. You know, did it used to have water? Can it support life? Can it be gentrified? And now, thanks to NASA, we've discovered something amazing on the red planet.
NASA says its Ingenuity Mars helicopter recently discovered and surveyed the debris from the agency's Perseverance rover mission on Mars 1 year ago.
NASA photos show both the parachute that helped the rover land on Mars, as well as the cone-shaped back shell that protected it during its fiery descent toward the Martian surface on February 18th, 2021. NASA says being able to look at some of the components that enabled the rover to get safely to the Martian surface could provide valuable insights for future missions.
That's it? Wait, are you kidding me? That's NASA's big discovery on Mars is some garbage that they left there? Why are you announcing? What do you do? Like, I expect this shit from a 5-year-old, not the greatest space agency in the world. Look, mommy, I found a poop in the toilet. That's your poop, you idiot. What? How is NASA proud that we left trash on Mars? Think about that, huh? If anything, we should be embarrassed. The first thing we do on another planet is litter? I mean, I guess it's good to set expectations early, but still, guys. Can you imagine what the Martians think of us right now? Sheila! The two-legged freaks came back again and left more trash. I swear to Glorp, if they move here, we're going to Venus. Yeah, I don't care if it's further from your sister. At least it doesn't have these shaved monkeys showing up and leaving their shit on our lawn. I would love some tea. Thank you, honey. Gregory Robinson. Mr. Robinson, welcome to The Daily Show.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. It's really an honor.
I'm so excited to have you here because this is one of the biggest stories. You know, everyone saw it on social media. There was a picture of like what seemed like the universe, everything, and then it was like, here's the old one, here's the new one, and then we all had to act like we knew why that was important. But you're actually the person behind why it happened and how it got together. So let's start with this. For everybody to be on the same page, mostly me. Why is this jump in telescope technology so impressive, and why is it so important?
So when we're comparing to Hubble, which was state of the art 30 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and Webb gives us a much bigger mirror. It's 6.5 meters versus 2.4 for Hubble. And the infrared technology, if you think about like night vision,
Yeah.
you can see heat through something. So it gives us infrared capability, so we can look through the dust and clouds and gook of space and look much further back. Of course, our science instruments are a lot more complex too, So the clarity is a lot better and the depth is a lot better.
What I know is really confusing sometimes when talking about anything in space is that sometimes they say things in terms of time and sometimes they say things in terms of distance. And it gets a little, they'll be like, we're seeing something from 13 billion years ago. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What does that even mean?
Well, sometimes I say what as well. So we're looking at light traveling 186,000 miles per second.
Okay.
You can imagine that. So we're looking at light, something that happened billions of years ago, and it's just reaching us now. So it's the time distance travel of light, and that's actually what we're looking at.
And so we can see what happened a really long time ago somewhere else out there. What do we use this information for? Like, will it tell us that aliens left a long time, now they're already here? Does it tell us where we're gonna go after we destroy Earth? What is it telling us?
Well, in astrophysics and astronomy, we're always looking to answer questions, where do we come from? How do we fit into this universe? Are we alone? Which is another one we're looking for. So it helps inform us on how we fit into the universe. And as far as light travel, I remember growing up in the country and shining a flashlight up in the sky and said, I wonder how long it's taken it to get to certain points.
Oh, wow.
And which is same kind of thing as light travel. That's what you're looking for.
It's interesting you say that growing up in the country because I've read your story and you have one of the most fascinating journeys I've ever come across because you grew up, your parents were sharecroppers in rural Virginia, right? You went to a segregated school, you didn't have the education that you wanted to, and then here you are, the man who was brought in to basically get this $10 billion telescope up and running. It was failing before you stepped in. They called you and they're like, we need you to do this, and you did it. How? Where does that love come from and how did you get into this world?
So a couple of things. One is that education in the segregated schools was excellent.
Wow.
We had some of the best teachers in the world. Many of them were far more educated than the teachers in other schools, because they couldn't get jobs in industry like they can today. So we had great teachers who really nurtured us and cared about us. So my beginnings were very strong. And so of course I lived through the Apollo time. I was a little kid then, which excited me, but that still didn't get my interest in space. So I was in college and friends of mine actually did internships at NASA, and they made it sound so interesting. And a few years later, I started my career in industry, but a few years later I actually joined NASA. And 4.5 years ago, there were some issues. My boss asked me to try to get it over the goal line. Now, I will say a lot of the work was already done, already completed. Yeah. So thanks to the team for that. And this team is an incredibly smart team of people, if you could imagine, at NASA. So smarts is never a shortage at NASA, and certainly not for this team. And this team is not just NASA, it's our whole industrial base, plus the European Space Agency, the Canadian Space Agency, two of our big partners.
Let me ask you a question, and I believe that you're retiring soon, correct?
Yes, I'm retiring soon. Life comes at me fast.
Wow, that's sad, because I mean, you've been around for so long, you've been doing such a great job. So, I know NASA's going to miss you. But because you're retiring, I feel like you could probably tell me a few things you wouldn't be allowed to. It's like, when you're leaving, so have you taken any pictures and then seen something that they don't tell us about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, let me put it this way. In New York, if you have like a super powered telescope and you shine it at another person's apartment, you might see some things. And I'm wondering if you've seen some things out there, but then you don't tell us. Or are these all the pictures? You can just wink if I'm close. You can.
Well, I think your telescope in New York example, you probably see something you've already seen before. I think in our case, we will certainly see things we haven't seen before, but a lot clearer, and we will learn things that we could never even imagine. So as we answer questions, we also will create new questions for the future.
What are we using the answers to these questions to do? You know, I understand there is some importance to it, but how does it help what happens on Earth? Or what are people hoping we'll learn from these telescopes and what they're revealing?
Well, one, we learn a lot about physics. And if you think about it, if you go back many years and you think of the physics textbooks, we have information today that wasn't there then. And if you think about, just 100 years ago, we thought that was just one galaxy in the whole universe, ours. And Hubble Telescope, named after him, discovered more galaxies. So we know a lot more about who we are, where we come from. And so that's on an astrophysics side. But other science missions tell us a lot about the Earth, our interaction with the sun, how that impacts it. So the Earth as a system within our own solar system.
I see. So now that you have the James Webb Telescope, I mean, Hubble was until a few months ago, was everybody's bay in space, and then I just felt a little, I felt a little sad on Hubble's behalf. Everyone was just like, look how shit Hubble's pictures are. What happens to Hubble now?
So Hubble has been operating more than 30 years.
Yeah.
And again, it was the state of the art. It's going to continue operating.
Okay.
So there are still things we benefit from Hubble. So we're still looking forward to a long time operation.
Is there something Hubble can do that the Webb Telescope can't do?
Not at the level we're talking about.
Okay.
Not at all. And just
so you're just being nice to
two or 3 months. Well, 2 or 3 months ago, Hubble discovered a star that was 900 million years after the Big Bang. So wrap that around your head, 900 million years after the Big Bang. Now, in space, that's still a long time, but when you're talking billions, that's looking back quite a bit.
That is really fascinating. I just love the idea that you're part of this mission. You get this telescope. You have to shoot it up into space, and then you start taking the pictures. Whose job is it to stitch the pictures together and to unblur the pictures? Because when you take the picture, I've heard it basically looks like nothing. That's what I've been told. It just looks like somebody has shown you a picture of night, and then somebody sits there and they go like, oh, now I see something. Who's doing that, and how do you do it, and how do you know that you actually are seeing a thing, or if it's like?
So the scientists actually, they know what they're looking at.
Okay.
And so they do some what we call processing to make the pictures look more presentable to human eye.
Right, to idiots. You can say it. I understand. You can.
Well,
I know.
I'm one of those humans too. Thank God.
No.
So the scientists process it. They use the science instruments, and
Okay.
then they have some post-processing beyond the instruments to make it look like what we've seen recently. But they actually know what they're looking at when they receive the data.
Okay, so
and
they
images.
get it.
Yes.
They make it
Yes.
simpler for us.
Absolutely.
So I would love to know where your journey goes from here. I mean, you've been part of NASA for such a long time. You've been part of the biggest, discovery or invention that humans have ever created. Where to from here? You retire, and then what do you do?
So certainly Webb is done from a development standpoint. So now it's the scientist's job for the next 20 plus years. I know they would do well. So it's just that time for me. I'm not running from or to anything. It's just time. But as I often say, don't let the good looks fool you. I'm still a young man. but I'm getting up there. So I still plan to do some other things.
Okay.
Still exploring what I'm gonna do when I grow up. I'm looking forward to it.
I love this. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
You can't just film a regular rom-com and then not explain why the leads keep floating away from each other. This is how I float. See, I'm doing a space movie right now. Look at that. Cost how much? A fraction of the budget. Just keep the cameras rolling. Just give me a plot. I could do anything right now. What has happened in my space movie? I'm leading my team to the state championship. When we play as a team, we play together. When we lose as a team, we lose as one. And that's why, as we go out to play this football game in space, we hold each other to a higher standard. I am because of you, you are because of me. We are, we. Now get out there and play. Go team. Oh, team. All right, don't forget. Oh, no, the airlock! Blasting off just got a whole new meaning.
Listen to this. NASA scientists are researching the behavior of sperm in space. They sent samples aboard the Falcon 9 rocket last week. Scientists want to know whether humans would be able to reproduce in microgravity.
Wow, NASA is experimenting with space sperm. That's one small step for man, one giant load of mankind. Yeah, I think we finally got to the bottom of what those ink blotches were in Arrival. Yeah, those aliens were literally coming in peace. That's all they were doing. They were communicating with us. And And now NASA says that this is the first sperm in space, right? And I bet every dude astronaut is like, yeah, first. Yeah, come on, man. Men have been in space for almost 60 years now. There's no ways in hell this is the first space sperm. You put a dude in a hotel room, within 5 minutes, he's jacked off twice. You know these guys are in the space station as soon as they got there. They're just like, oh. Honestly, I think NASA needs to slow its roll. Because I don't know if you've realized this. Just consider how all of this looks if you're an alien. First, humans send up telescopes to creepily watch them from afar, right? And then we sent up mixtapes. And then we sent up nudes. And now we're sending sperm. Like, at this point, it just feels like we're sexually harassing aliens. That's what it feels like. I wouldn't be surprised if our first contact was the aliens coming down and just saying like, hey, take a hint, we're not interested. Hashtag me too, hashtag Glorpzarg. NASA, America's most expensive way of collecting rocks. If you wanted to be an astronaut when you were a little kid, first of all, congratulations on being basic. And secondly, this may be your big chance.
You want to be an astronaut? Well, you better know how to swim.
NASA is looking for a new crop of cadets willing to take the plunge in hopes of reaching outer space.
The odds of being selected are pretty low. NASA only needs about 20 trainees for the next class. Officials say degrees in math, science, and engineering are required, and you have to have a master's degree.
So if you think you've got what it takes to survive not just the neutral buoyancy pool, but an actual mission in space, well, the next astronaut class opens up on Monday. Apply then.
Why are we laughing? Thank God this guy is covering NASA and not a tornado. Everyone here is now homeless or dead. But yes, NASA is looking for new astronauts, but you can only apply if you have a master's degree and are in peak physical condition. Basically, you have to be an athletic nerd, which doesn't exist. You gotta be like Neil deGrasse Mike Tyson. That's what you gotta be. Yeah, it's time to discuss supernovas. I'm joking, Mike. Now, I'll be honest, I think NASA's standards are too high. Like, you shouldn't need a master's degree to go to space. You just need two things. One, you need to know how to walk in slow motion. Just like... And two, you need courage. That's all you need. You know who NASA should hire? Those people who buy sushi at 7-Eleven. That's what you need in space. I see you aren't afraid of taking risks. You wanna fly to Pluto?